audio. Tune in, tune in, tune in, tune in. This week in car audio. Tune in, tune in, tune in. We'll be talking about bass, I'm talking about chips, talking about rings. You ain't got them, zip your lip. You got a problem you haven't found, check your grounds. The show about to start. Tune in, 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 tune in. This week in car audio. Yeah. Tune in. This week in car audio.
Welcome to This Week in Car Audio with your host, the Judge, Doug Stockton, co-hosted by my buddy there, Jeffrey Fernandez. Decided to take a week off, but he's back with us this week. How's it going,
Yes.
Jeffrey?
I am here, thankfully. I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
How you doing, Doug?
Oh, just fine. So you had an event this weekend.
Yeah. I had an event at Crossfire Car Audio. We got that show upgraded by Brobots, which you know is Kevin Morrow and Julius Mac Johnson III, which real quickly I want to throw a shout out because they got their rings, their championship rings in the mail this week, and they brought it to the show and just flossing on people, telling people to kiss the ring and stuff like that. No, I'm just kidding. But, so yeah, they went and upgraded the show to a triple point event. We had a lot of fun as always. That we did a little something new. We did kind of like a best of demo type thing, best demo. So basically it wasn't too scientific or too technical. We just had, so, you know, if you're doing a demo, you're doing a demo in a car, or, you know, and you think you like that demo, just write that number down on a piece of paper, throw it in a box. At the end of the show, we'll count up all the votes and see who's got the best demo. And it actually went out to Jeff Gatlin. He's I think he's probably about an hour and a half east of where the show was, but he came out, and not only he won best demo, but he also took first place in Cyclone.
Damn.
He also took first place in freestyle. So yeah, man, he's like he's up there. So I had a lot of fun. We had Hot Box Barbecue out again this show. Fred Montana Jr. was out there slanging the barbecue, and just had a fun time. Oh, what I do have to mention is it was so windy. I've never seen it that well. I've only been in Texas for about two years, but
well, I was watching your live, and it was coming through just like
Okay.
crazy on your live.
Oh, that's what I was hoping. I was like, I hope people could see how crazy windy it is, and everyone was all bundled up, and we had to put like 4 sets of sandbags on the tent so it wouldn't fly away, and we had to kind of back the tent into like a little corner, so we wouldn't had to tie the TV down and stuff like that. So yeah, it was really windy. Took me off guard, but hey, we made it happen.
All right. Well, I'm done sharing now. No, it was cool to see you doing your live feed again. I appreciate that. I'm sure the other people do. Your competitors, they can watch it back live. They can see when they're up next, that kind of thing. That's always the cool part about doing a live event. It's about 20 seconds behind, but even though it's 20 seconds behind, they can see, they're calling me up to the lanes, and then there's never an excuse, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I got an owie. That's my bowling hand.
Oh, no.
So I went to go slide in a chair. I grabbed the chair seat and I slid it forward. The chair seat lifted off of the metal frame it was on, and my 220 pounds smashed between so it was like one of those square tube frames for the chair, and so it literally cut the tip of my finger almost completely off.
Ooh.
So I grabbed it real quick, put it all together, held it, taped it up, waited till today to go to the that was yesterday at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It is my bowling hand, by the way, but it's not one of my bowling fingers. Anyway, so I waited till today to go to the hospital. And the hospital like, man, you did an awesome job with that. And then they just super glued the rest of it back together.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what did you do to it in the meantime? Did you just like?
Oh, is that me or you? Did he freeze on you too, Leonard?
CA'd it or put some CA glue on it?
Yeah, exactly. He CA glued it. The doctor did, so that was cool. We just so he just glued it up and he said, "Man, you did a good job in putting it back together." I said, "Well, I'm in construction and it ain't the first time I've tore open my body." But my wife made me go to the hospital for it, so whatever. I told her I'm a man. I don't need to go to the hospital. So a couple of things that are working out for me is I'm trying to find a show for Saturday. I can't get a hold of anybody up in California or up in Sacramento to host an event on Saturday. I just want to do like a little $20 buy-in, just a single 1X show, no trophies, just $20, but I need to have a place to put it. Dave Bradshaw said his place isn't ready for that yet, where he's at. Lunsford's not answering, and Brian Nyman's not answering. So I got a couple other places I'm working on, so hopefully somebody gets back to me in the next day or so I can put this event up on the calendar. Speaking of events, the last time I saw our guest today, Leonard Foster, he was down in L.A. at the it was a Forbidden Fantasy show, one of those, and he was there, and I believe he tried to Dave Bradshaw says, "You need to keep your fingers out of them holes." Well, that would really piss my wife off. Just saying. Anyway, last time I saw our guest Leonard, he was competing in DB Drag down in L.A. I heard he commutes back and forth now between L.A. and Texas. So welcome, Leonard.
Hey, everybody.
For you guys that don't know, Yeshi says depends on the holes.
Oh my goodness.
It's going off the rails.
Oh no, bring it back. Let's focus.
Anyway, so for you guys that don't know, on the old Turn Pro forum and whatnot, Leonard's name on there was Quad Box. So why don't you introduce yourself, Leonard, who you are, and why we have you on this show?
Hey, I'm Leonard Foster Jr., a.k.a. Quad Box, Quad Audio, Mr. Controversy, Mr. Garage Score.
Yeah. He was doing garage scores before garage scores were an item.
Yeah. We were doing carport scores, shade tree scores. Still done back in Texas, I might add.
All right.
But yeah, just up here. I was invited by you guys this morning to be on the podcast, and I'm excited about it. I've been doing this on and off for. I remember the first days back at DB Drag in Daytona Beach. I'll go back that far.
Yep.
Wow.
So about what year?
That was probably early 90s, because I had my 80-something station wagon. It was called Mad Max, for people that remember that thing.
Okay.
Wow. Had 418s on the wall with concrete floors. So naturally, I got put in extreme class, and I was an amateur. Got really everything handed to me that day, doing my 144, 145s, and that 170 van over there is like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
go ahead.
So you live and learn. You come into the game as an amateur a lot of time, inexperienced, before meeting and talking to a lot of other people, and you put up some numbers that are like, oh, okay, these work, but there's people there willing to help you. You're willing to listen and take it on. There's people there that are willing to help you in those times, I do believe. Yeah.
Bradshaw says, I like garage scores. I feel loud with those. Yep, true that. So one thing I was going to bring up is so Quad Box. Jacob Fincher says he's not sure the world's ready for hearing about quad box and Leonard. So for you guys that do know him from back in the day, it's not exactly um, a shock to you that he was controversial. So what was some of the controversial stuff you did back in the day, Leonard?
Well, you know, it was just I introduced just my playing around from some of my other experiences in other industries.
Hmm.
I toyed around with some other materials. You know, people today kind of find it fascinating that we slipped all the way back to plywood. You know,
Yeah.
plywood and birch. We used MDF, 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 and maybe chicken board.
Hmm.
But we've kind of gone back to plywood and birches and stuff like that. Well, I came across another alternative that I played around with and had really some success with. I mean, I was doing things with my whole model was doing big numbers with less, with
Right.
little, and have people going, wait a minute, my RCAs cost more than the Soul System.
Yep.
How's he doing that?
I mean, you were running funky puppy subwoofers at
No.
one time, were you?
Was he?
Rockwood, Rockwood,
Rockwood.
what I mean, hey, and I'll just show, hey, it's a lot of it is the science.
Yep.
A lot of it
Right.
is science. There's ways to do things, and didn't have a lot of money, still don't today, and so you have to make your system the most efficient it can be.
Uh
You
huh.
know, uh, a lot of times people just threw money at it, through power, through money. They just throw it there, hey, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh huh.
But yeah, but it would be shocking to you when I've had it happen to me many times. You know, some guy comes along with a couple of eights and just like does this number. He's like, what in the world's going on there? You know. So my material, which is still, it's not a fantasy, it exists. I'm thinking about even coming out with it in the season when I'm done here in California,
Uh huh.
finally publicly releasing it.
Hmm.
Uh, but I have the measurements and the numbers that you can get anywhere. You choose the right material and tuning anywhere from 3 to 5 dB increase just from the material.
So Calvin Vin, Jeffrey's personal troll, he posted in here right away. Who's the cute Asian lady with the hat? So that's his own personal troll that comes and watches him every week.
Oh, that's a buddy of mine. He's out of 29 Palms. He's
Yeah.
he's probably in the rain outside where it's like storming California. What's up, Cal?
Um. Anyway, so why don't you tell us a little bit about your quad wood?
It is, like I said, it is something. It is a. I will go as far as to tell you without giving away a lot of secrets. It's a man-made composite material that is very, very expensive.
Yes.
Oh,
If you thought, I mean, but it is a quarter of the weight of a sheet of MDF or birch or anything out
Yep.
there,
So
even True Pan.
so one of the
Um,
things that you were offering back in the day is if somebody won a world championship or something like that with your quad wood, you were going to pay them, or what was that deal about? I remember you had something going where you were trying to offer people money to compete back in the day.
right. I had a couple of programs going on, much like some other manufacturers. Hey, you use my. It was hard. It's really hard to break through.
Hmm.
It's hard to break through, and then people they can see myself and they say yeah whatever, but if they need to see someone else do this, have similar results or better results. And I was putting my money where my mouth was. Hey, you go through this process with me, you purchase this, I'm willing to put up something for for your effort.
Hmm.
And
How many people
I
took
don't
you
know.
up on it?
I know on the box level, hardly none,
Yep.
but on the subwoofer level, I had people like Jacob. Jacob even
Yep.
he tried it out, and he got an increase. He'll tell you, and I was doing my subwoofers.
Okay.
Uh, so it's just, but it is a very hard business to break through. Back.
Back then it was much harder, right? Just to even get started.
I think it was maybe a little from what it maybe was a little easier than compared to now. Now I think it's hit and miss. You know, I watch some of the stories of some of the guys that have made it the last 5 to 10 years. If you look back, what's happened in the last 5 to 10 years for a manufacturer? You know, who's come on the scene?
Yeah,
You know,
so you
it's
got like
very
DC and stuff like that. But the thing is now the accessibility of somebody, as long as they want to make the purchases, it's available. Where back when you were trying to do it and I was doing it, getting into the scene was almost impossible. You had to know somebody that knew somebody, otherwise you weren't getting in nothing. Right? You weren't buying parts, you weren't getting nothing. So
Yes.
now it's much easier to source some of that stuff.
Yes.
Was this on a company that you owned, Leonard, or was it a company you worked for? Or?
This was my own label, and I've worked for 3 or 4 other companies, and then under my own label, I've had a couple of I had Crunk and Quad.
Crunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I tried to get in with the Lil Jon thing and say, yeah. Celebrity endorsements was like, if you could get some celebrity to endorse your car audio product back in the day,
yep.
Woo, that was your woo.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of those ads. Like I think Bazooka had Master P.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, some of those guys.
Yeah. Dave Bradshaw says, "Thanks for tuning in to This Week in Porn Audio."
No.
So, but no, like I said, so you've been doing some of that, and with that being said, how often, and how many times have you attended CES?
I generally try to attend it every couple of years.
Okay.
So
you've been there, like 12 times or so, roughly 10 to 12 times?
I used to have to set up for it when I worked for manufacturers. I was there,
right.
Set up and tear down, do the show, the whole 9 yards. And then, but the last, of course, 3 years have been erratic because of COVID.
Oh yeah.
1 year, and then we had literally almost 2 years of radical and CES. I think one year was a virtual show.
Yeah.
Oh,
1 year.
yeah.
I think 2021 was non-existent, and then 2022 was digital only type thing. So yeah.
And you had to be vaccinated and everything else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was
getting in that
previous.
place.
Yep. Real quick here, question, Doug, before I have to go. If a venue is found for Saturday, is it possible to make it a 2X? It cannot, because we need to have a 2-week announcement for it to make it a multi-point. So sorry, Rosa. It would only be a 1X. Sorry. Can we get a rules clarification? I'm kind of confused on one part. Aaron, that was last week. Now you're going to have to wait till next month, or you can message one of the judges, and we'll try and get back to you. So that's the way we do that. It's the second Monday of every month, and that's when we're going to do rules questions. So speaking of CES, so you've been going here and there. I don't go on Facebook very often, but I did catch something on Facebook. It says CES officially dead. What was all that about?
On the 12-volt end, it was very shocking. It was it was totally shocking.
I agree.
To go there and not see, I saw one Chinese manufacturer that is hardcore. They're there all the time, and I barely made their booth. They were tucked somewhere like this.
Were they back in the Hilton? Were they back in the Hilton in the manufacturing section?
No, almost there. There. There was actually nothing in the Hilton there.
Yeah, there was nothing there. Believe it or not, at the Westgate. Yeah,
empty. Yeah,
it was empty.
Wow.
So was South Hall.
Yeah. South Hall too.
South Hall.
Oh
too.
yeah.
Good Lord. Yeah. So for comparison, the first year I went. So the first year I went would have been 2004 or 3. I went to CES. And there was car audio in the South Hall, the North Hall, the Central Hall, and then the manufacturers were all in the whatever the Hilton or whatever the building was, the casino that's right next to it. And then you would go to Sands, and then there would be a handful of like mishmashed car audio stuff. Versus, what did you say it was this year now for car audio?
It was Excess Power. I talked to Scotty. Congratulated him on his Sundial deal.
Yep.
And I said, man, you're the only vendor I see 12 volt. And he goes, well, I kind of mix in because I'm batteries.
That's right. And so he does like race cars and all that other stuff too. Yeah.
He was they were pretty much in the West Plaza, I think, or the West Hall it was.
Okay.
It was called the new building that they had put up just recently.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Leonard was telling me that it was sad. He doesn't know if they could even fill that new building.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't full.
Yeah, that's a bummer. So we have one 12 volt that came, but there's I believe it's shifted to SEMA now, right? I haven't been to SEMA ever, so Jeffrey I know goes to SEMA. So what would you guys say? SEMA is that the place to be for car audio now for the conventions?
SEMA Knowledge Fest. Looks like it. I'm going to try my first Knowledge Fest the beginning of next month.
Okay.
But SEMA, when I've gone to SEMA, I've seen the little guy can afford SEMA because he can get a space outside in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Just in the open and do demos and whatever out there in the parking lot in the front of the center. Or the old center. They've rearranged everything now.
Okay.
It's kind of,
So part of the thing that was badass about CES back in these too is like if you're a gamer, they had a whole hall of just gamer stuff. That was cool, dude. I mean, we were looking at Guitar Hero 3 years before it came out, right? Yeah. I was looking at 8K TVs in 2006. I don't know if you guys remember, but they had the 100-foot TV there back about 2010.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a badass.
Wait, you mean 100-inch?
No, 100-foot.
100-foot? I know they had 100-inch
no.
It was Samsung booth.
No.
It was 100-foot.
100 inches is less than 12 feet. So 120 is 12 inch. So that's like just over 8 feet, right? So is 100 foot because 96 inches would be 1 foot, right? So no, this was the size of almost floor to ceiling in a hall.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So, and somebody was just demonstrating how, and it was an actual screen, that their technology with the OLED, because OLED didn't even exist then, right? They were saying there was an unlimited size you can do with OLED and still maintain 4K quality.
Yep.
So, and that was their whole demonstration. It literally was, so as soon as you walk out of whatever the car audio hall, I think that was the North Hall, and then you walk straight across, that was the West Hall, right?
Yep.
So as soon as you walk into that West Hall, just past the pizzeria and the Starbucks there, as soon as you walked in, it was right there on the upper level right before they had the video game stuff. Like that's where I saw the virtual golf was there years before anybody else had it out. And that was the cool thing about CES. I mean, in reality, the microwave was at a CES type show back in the 50s, right? And Wayne Harris with the Term Lab actually won Product of the Year one year at CES. Yep. Or yep. Innovative something. But he won an award at CES. And that's a big deal. I mean, it took up Sands, the Hilton or whatever that casino is right next to it, plus
the Westgate,
and all of the halls within the convention center.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, it was a big deal. And then like I think I got a 3D camera I was trying to broadcast my Term Lab shows in 3D. The problem is the technology just wasn't there yet. But I did, so I bought me a 3D camera there. I got it for $60. Because, when you were at CES before, you could buy their demos on the last day for like pennies because people don't want to pack them up. Yeah, because they don't want to pack them up and take them back home.
They
So
don't want to ship it out.
yeah, and especially if they're from out of the country, they get charged duties in bringing them back. So all those guys want to sell their crap way before they leave.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, that CES was cool for me. Since I got into bowling again, it's been hard for me to go to CES because it happens to fall real close to the same time frame as my bowling tournament where I go to Vegas for a whole week. So taking 2 weeks off of work at the beginning of the year, bosses don't like that for some reason. I don't know what that's about.
One of my go-tos at CES,
Uh-huh.
what really made it awesome when I wasn't doing my own thing or working for another company was what you really look forward to was going to the Alpine booth.
Alpine booth. I was gonna say the same thing, dude. They had the wind
Rounds,
tunnel.
Bill, what's it gonna be?
Yep.
What's it gonna be?
They had the wind tunnel there that one year, right? So you can get the feel of a 160 demo inside of a little glass box, and then the cars that they made, dude. I remember going there one year. They had that blue and white. I mean, it was like a import car, but it had like lightning, and the paint scheme went. Like if you open the door, the paint scheme went in and through the car and out the other side, and then you close the door and the paint scheme would go up along the edge of the door. So it was a seamless thing. And I remember the guy that was he was there just to talk about his 1 square foot of that car. I'm not kidding you. He was there because he goes, I got 500 hours in that 1 square foot.
Yep.
Wow.
So,
Yep.
dude, Alpine booth was
Alpine
was awesome.
Yep. Either that or Fishman. You had to find out where Fishman was at.
Yeah.
So I never went to a Fishman one.
Ooh, that was the next thing best to Alpine.
and then we would go to the kicker show, which Jeffrey and I know we've been to a lot of those, you know. And literally you would show up there on the day and you go, okay, who's got the parties? And we would, I mean, you remember that, Jeffrey, right?
Yeah, I pretty much would go strictly just for the afterlife.
Yes.
CES, all those parties. I remember Kicker's had some. Kinetic, when Eric was at Kinetic, he would have one every year.
But the kicker one was badass, though.
Oh yeah.
Dude, they had Cheryl Crow one year. They had Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and it was badass. I mean, they had Kenny Wayne Shepherd in a place that only held 300 people. So I mean, when do you get a concert from that big of a headliner? Yeah. in an intimate setting? I mean, 300 people's nothing for a guy like that, right? So
I think they even had a guy jumping his dirt bike out in front of that place. They did
that
stunts on the dirt bikes, everything.
And then MTX was big into the MMA, so they would have like private MMA tournaments, right? I know Jeffrey went to a few of those.
Might have gone to a couple, but yeah, you're right. They had like all the celebrities out pushing, or doing autograph signings and appearances and stuff like that. Yeah. It was it wasn't there this year. So
did you go also, Jeffrey?
To CES?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I knew you were in Vegas. I didn't realize it was at the same time as CES.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what were your thoughts on walking through CES? That similar to Leonard, or?
Pretty much. As he was saying, I was telling him, I agree. I remember just walking to the North Hall and seeing like these big Pioneer booths, Kenwood, and then, DB Drag would have theirs as well, kind of down the way. And man, it wasn't there this year. And I'm pretty sure it's been slowly, disappearing year after year. We just really haven't seen it. And, I think this year, North Hall was like digital health. I was passing by this booth that said it was like a hands-free urinal or something like that, which was what? But and then I was telling my buddy who went with me, I was like, we'll go through these doors. We'll go into the Westgate, dude. We're going to see all these little manufacturers that are, you could buy stuff from them. They don't want to ship it back to China. So, hey, and then that wasn't there.
Wow.
We got to walk into the West, I think it's the West Plaza or the West Hall, but you know, it used to be where you used to go up to this bridge,
Uh-huh.
and then you would go down, and it was a parking lot. It was the Riviera parking lot. And
Okay.
I remember
Yeah.
they charged like $40 to park there if you're going to CES. But
Or you stay there and
now,
it's free.
or yeah, probably something like that. But
Yeah.
it was just the West Hall. You know, we ended up finding, of course, Excess Power was there, and yeah, little. I
Earthquake.
think I found a couple. You know what? They were a mainstay in the South Hall, and
Yep.
the South Hall wasn't even there this year. So
Yep.
we couldn't find him. Me and Roger were looking up companies on the directory for CES, and we're like, dude, where's this? Where's this company? This company? Oh, is it another name? And I think we found like Pioneer somewhere in the West Hall. I didn't get a chance to see
JVC
it,
maybe?
but it might have been. It might have been.
Yeah.
But
So
you know, I mean,
so
hopefully they'll make a comeback.
yep. So Jacob Fincher popped in here. He says, I think Jeff was there for the other convention.
No, I don't know what you're talking about, Jacob. What other convention?
So-
Well, there's another
We don't
convention
have
there.
that one there anymore.
There's another one. Oh, they don't?
Not at that time, not at the same timing. No.
Okay. So
Believe it or not, though, I heard that it was at the same time as CES this year. It was at another.
it was at the Palms.
yeah.
Just saying.
No,
No.
believe it-
So the
Oh,
party was
wait,
at the Palms, but they were at the Sands. And the actual award show was at the Palms also.
Oh my goodness.
it used to be that way.
Yes.
They made their way to Resorts World, the new casino on the Strip. So
Team XSSPL Ron. Yeah,
yeah, the honorary member.
that's
Mr.
right.
Ron.
So I think Jeffrey's heard my Ron Jeremy story before. So me and Nyman are walking around. We actually went to go see Steve Mead over at the Palms. And because Rockford Fosgate,
yeah,
they actually bought the entire convention floor for their stuff over at the Palms. And like I said, people used to do that stuff all the time. And so we're walking out, and they're doing the red carpet. And I don't remember how it all happened, but Ron Jeremy's walked right up to us, right up to me, and goes, "Hey, what are you guys doing tonight?" And I'm just like, "Well, we're just hanging out. We're just here for CES." He goes, "Dude, you got to come to my room. Let's party tonight." And I don't remember how the whole conversation started, but that was it. And so he handed me. He goes, "You need this pass to get into my room, because once you get in the elevator, they ain't gonna let you in my room unless you have this pass." And I was like, "Dude," here, I handed it back to him. "I appreciate it, but that's not me. I'm a married guy. Don't do that stuff." And Nyman's like, "What? Come on, dude. That's Ron Jeremy's. Let's go party with him." And I was like, "Nah, dude, it's cool. That's not my scene." And so yeah, so I have my little brush with greatness with Ron Jeremy's. So, but yeah, that was that was my story of the AVNs. And then they used to do a deal where if you had your CES badge, you didn't have to pay to get in the AVN, because they knew where their money was coming from. A bunch of horny, crazy Asian guys from China coming to a porn convention. They knew they were going to make their money somewhere.
You know, that's probably why the CES floor was kind of dead. Maybe they were exploring the other convention this year.
So, but yeah, so
time has changed. There was just a lot of there now. You see a lot of electric bikes. I'm in that business. There was drones.
What about home automation and car automation?
Yeah.
Probably a lot of that, right?
John Deere was there with this huge big tractor, boom, and a land mover, earth mover. If you've never seen an earth mover in person,
oh yeah,
they had one there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
what a tougher toy.
So Tristan, so Tristan from Bridgetown, Barbados, says, "Jeffrey, how your JBL stuff sound you got from the show?" So you picked up some JBL stuff?
Yeah, I'm actually using them right now.
Oh,
as you can see, but
the ear pods.
Yeah, and I got me some like headphones, some over-the-ear headphones, and some wired headphones. But yeah, you know, they're sounding pretty good. I like it.
Except for you can't hear yourself in them, right? Is you're saying
Yeah,
that's
for some
kinda
reason I
weird?
think this is it's a little weird.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Mr. Quad Box, this is where, since Jacob's in here now, so I think most of the controversy around you from back in the day was around the quad wood because you were saying, I've got a design for wood that'll make you louder, be stronger, be lighter, and everybody was like, bullshit. Is that an accurate representation?
Yes, yes,
All right.
but it
So
wasn't BS.
that's what you say. I don't discount it because I've never seen it. Like you said at the beginning, it does exist. So
It does
I
exist.
I have never personally seen it, so I can't speak to or for it or against it. Um, I understand the concept of it, where you're making a composite material that could potentially be stronger and more rigid, which in
And
that's what we're doing when we put 12 layers of MDF on a wall, right?
right, right. And it can respond it can be tuned to a resonant frequency and respond to a frequency. So the entire mass will resonate to a particular frequency that you're trying to tune it
And so I will not discount that because
to.
no, I'm just saying because when you design a bridge as an engineer, you design a
Exactly.
bridge. Um, it was a huge issue with suspension bridges specifically.
Yes.
Soldiers walking on
Famously.
a suspension bridge would actually make it collapse because soldiers always walk in time with each other. And what would happen is if that bridge was a certain length to match the frequency of their steps, it would start bouncing and swaying and bouncing, and it would propagate the wave so that literally the bridge would begin doing this.
Right.
And so that's something that has been proven, shown, and I mean they were doing that back in Roman times where they were having issues with that. So
Right.
it's that's not a new concept by any means.
And you're quite right. I don't dig up anything per se. I did not sit there as a chemist and put this together and this, that, and other. I just I just did a little research
Mm-hmm.
and went to other industries. That's what happens is if you're in a certain industry and you're in a box and you don't think outside of that box,
Yep.
there's other things outside of that box. That's why you can travel around and go to different trade shows or even in competition. You can, I mean, really, what's the most advanced box design you've seen of late? I mean, they were still using fourth orders. You know,
Yeah, mostly fourth orders I think is what I
yeah.
see a
I,
lot of.
I I got a couple of things I want to try there, but yeah, really the box design for SPL has I've started to see a little bit of things in the rear part chamber of the box starting to change, but
Mm-hmm.
we're still using that same old fourth order type of deal, you
Yep.
know. And I have a suspicion that if I had the cash, I'd prove it up. That there's some different designs that even they come out of World War II. I'll give you a clue on that. That can be applied to current SPL within
So
some numbers.
so there's
World War II.
so no, so he's not
Exactly.
wrong. He's not wrong. Um I have mentioned on this show before when I was searching up box design and I was working on that myself. Um, I was looking at books from the 40s, and the audio theory of the 40s was so far beyond anything that you guys can imagine. You got to think we had guys like, Tesla was just before that, and, Einstein and stuff like that. You had these brilliant minds looking at stuff in different ways, and the technology wasn't there to show or prove what these guys could show in math about theory on audio. I mean,
Right.
your baddest ass speaker was, you know, what, 5 watts, right? So, with that being said, these guys was like, imagine if you could put 1,000 watts to a subwoofer. This is what would happen. And so they were coming up with these insane designs. That's where I did like my ported horn design. And that when we have Don Hebig on here, that's where he got a lot of his, thoughts on what he wanted to do, and he does all kinds of stuff. So I had a dual tune ported horn that I used for stereo competition, and I played my bandwidth because it was dual tuned. So it looked like a sixth order, went up, but it didn't have the sixth order drop and then back up, right? You know how a sixth order has two peaks, right? So instead of that, it looked like a fourth order with a second fourth order right next to it. Because I dual tuned it, I tuned a horn and I tuned a ported box. I tuned them individually, but at the right frequency, they coupled, and that's what helped my SPL scores jump up quite drastically. So,
yeah,
that's not thinking within the box, right?
Right, right. Actually, in World War II, I give people another insight. The Germans actually built and designed a sound cannon to actually knock bombers out of the sky. Using sound waves. They didn't use a mechanical device. They used natural gas as the force, and then they use a dish, something to project that force.
Oh, so they use the dish as just like a subwoofer, so that created the wave to push the gas.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but they use an explosive, like a fuel air bomb would be in today's type of deal. But like we said, this stuff was all done way back in the day, and there was a lot of things that we created since then can actually give you those forces without the explosive issues.
Yeah.
But the technology has ramped up. And so if you research things a little bit out of the box, here and there, you'll find like, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And the Speaker Builder's Cookbook is, I started with that, and that's what, and you look at the date on that, and I think that's from the 60s, right?
Yeah.
And you look at the date of that, and that's actually what got me looking even further back. That's really what led me on my path to go further back. Let's see. This is Tristan again out of Bridgetown, Barbados. Says, one of the box designs I always loved was done by a man named Steve Decker. And that's the box design's called the Death Box, and that's Deckware. Yeah. So through my learning, and I stumbled across the Deckware, but I did the Wicked one inside my car, which was a tune horn box, or it was a horn loaded box. But the problem with the horn is you need the wavelength to travel through the entire horn, and it's got to propagate at a certain frequency. So your horns, if you go to a true horn, that thing would have to be 10 foot big. So what he did was he changed his design up to where he was using a quarter of the wave. So now you were able to create that same horn in 36 inches or 4 feet through the full length of the horn. So that's Steve Decker. Great. He's got great insights. I've read his book. I forgot the name of his book, but he also has in there time alignment and some other cool things. So I built the Death Box back in the day. I mean, have you built one, Leonard?
No, I thought that was back in the Shaker Audio days. What was that? They had a mouse box and all that stuff. Yeah.
The mouse box.
Yeah, the mouse. It was a little bitty. Used like 6.5 or an 8, or it was just what was it?
Are you talking about? No. So you're talking about, it's a transmission line.
Yes.
But he called it something else. That is the one that John Nolte was doing. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, where he uses a 6.5 and tries to get people to guess what size subwoofer it was in there.
Right.
Yeah, and they would guess, oh, that's got to be a 15.
Yeah.
And that truly is a expansion of what he was doing. He was using a pair of 6-inch speakers, which are equivalent to what? Less than a 10, not quite bigger than an 8, but less than a 10. And so yeah, 2 6-inch speakers, and he was creating like a 143 or 144 out of 2 6-inch speakers.
Yeah.
On like 300 watts or something.
Yeah.
He had a little tiny
Efficiency.
amplifier. Yeah, efficiency. That's what it was about. So for our people that aren't into the design and don't understand some of this, though, when you do go that efficient, you reach the limits of that design really quick.
Yep.
So there's a point they call diminishing returns. So you gain, and then when you hit the peak of what that's able to do, the very next input you add to that, it goes just like that. It tanks. So,
yep.
and that's the trade-off for efficiency, efficiency versus headroom, I guess, would be the trade-off, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Would you say I'm describing that accurately, Leonard?
Yeah. And that's what something would be great for, like clamp classes of the day.
Yes.
Where you have power limits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, working around those power limits, I tell you.
Yeah.
It's key.
Yeah. So when was the last time you competed in any organization?
Woo! Wow.
Did it involve a purple Honda that had a really cool nickname?
That was the rounding out my days with Little Scrappy.
Yeah, Little Scrappy.
And my Tacoma. So yeah, Little Scrappy. They have missed that car.
Yeah, describe Little Scrappy.
Yeah, it was ahead of its time. Yeah. And then when I first debuted it, it didn't do so well. And I played around. I like people like Jeffrey. I spoke with you and Roger and other sidekick that was there. And we said shows where Toxic Twan was at.
Yeah.
So, but what was so strange, that was a 1970 Honda
CVCC
Intercontinental. What was so strange about that
before
car
the Civic
is those 70 cars and Lord, when they go back in time like that, the grounding of those cars is crazy. You had the grounds were not consistent. It seemed like you if you added more power, you'd have grounding issues. If you put the ground over here and work for a little while, then it stopped working. It was.
Wasn't that a unibody car though?
Yeah.
I do believe you're gonna always have that issue with any unibody vehicle. So.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like today's the Corvettes and stuff like that. They tend to have grounding issues also. It's easier just to run a grounding strap for the full length of the vehicle and attach stuff to that. Wow. So
I recall Leonard pulling up. I mean, I judged a couple of shows, and Leonard would pull up in the little 1970, I guess, Honda CVCC, and he would literally put his hands out.
Yeah.
Like this, and he would go out of each window. That's how small that vehicle was. It was a little hatchback, and was the engine in the back or was it in the front? It was in the back.
It was in the front. There's a it was a 2-cylinder motorcycle engine is what they used on those. And I think we at a San Bernardino show with Andy, we lifted it up and actually carried it.
That's right. That's right.
The whole car.
Wow. And I think this is like it's smaller than like the smart cars they have now, right?
Yeah. Had 10-inch wheels.
10-inch rims. I keep them clean though, right?
Yeah. And I drove that car to most shows.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Car to most shows. Yeah.
I didn't think that would be street legal with being so tiny. You probably get pushed around by a lot of the diesel and the big rig trucks heading out there to the shows.
I think more people had accidents looking at that car and trying to photograph it while they were driving than I ever had. They'd be, oh, so
Yeah.
look to me, and they ran, boom.
I think I remember it being white, and then like one show you had it all
It
painted
was
up and had
Barney.
graphics on. It was
Yes.
fun. But
Yeah.
I mean, explain. So, did that vehicle do well? Did it give you the numbers you were looking for, or what kind of
In the
box?
end,
I
it
think you had
did.
a wall in it one time.
Yeah, I have 318s in it. Was the final design. I
Wow,
tried a number
318s.
I tried a 4.4 in it. I tried a number of things, and I ended up the 318s was the most efficient. And I was usually running that off 1 amp. I think the biggest official number I got out of it was at a USAC show was a
Mm.
58.7 Outlaw. That's sealed up because that car would not perform open. That car the wavelength wouldn't propagate properly, and that car had to be closed
Yep.
for it. Usually it's the opposite. No, this car
No,
it had to be shut up
Right.
to
not when
do
your
the
car's
numbers.
finely tuned. When your car's tuned right, it's going to be louder
Yeah,
sealed because
yeah,
you need those reflective surfaces, like you said, to propagate the wave and make it hit the
right,
microphone at the right distance.
right.
So,
So that, and then I was at the time I was working for a concept, and we needed to get out there some kind of way. And I'm talking about shoestring budget.
yeah.
Man,
Wow.
you're talking about a shoestring budget. I personally had to buy the car. I did all the body work. I did everything. When that car first showed up, it was rough.
Hmm.
Uh, and then they only supplied the audio equipment. And like I said, after a few designs here and there, it started getting it louder, louder. Speaking with Roger and Jeffrey and everybody else, and it's like, yeah, finally got it to a point. 1 amp, that car, it was on Garage Score. I got it up to a 62 on the dash with 1,000 watt amp.
There you go.
You know,
So Tiffany, she's Tristan's wife. She's out of Bridgetown, Barbados, obviously. She says, "So did Lil Scrappy qualify for the Power Wheels category?"
could
It
have. We
probably
carried it.
can.
Hey, we carried that thing.
All right.
For
Hey,
those of you listening and watching, it was on the promo for today's show.
oh, it was.
If
That's
you
you're
guys,
correct.
yeah, you check it out. It's Leonard standing by the vehicle with all
Yep.
the trophies
Yep.
and stuff
And
like
the
that. You guys
vehicle's
really
not
want
in
to
the
see
background, even though it looks really small. It's not in the background. It's actually in the foreground.
And
Hey.
all that audio gear in that photo was in that car.
Oh yeah, that was in
It
that
was like
picture with it.
it
Yeah.
was in the car.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, real
So,
quick, before we get really, because we're running out of time here, I do want to go over this real quick. So we got a letter from the president for DB Drag. Um, Wanted to address this tonight. It says, so I'm going to read it and then have just a quick discussion on it. It says, uh, it is with some regret that I must address the egregious and misleading propaganda posted in this group by a handful of individuals caught with their hands in the cookie jar. In this post, I will set the record straight. Uh, some rules changes. Some individuals have suggested DBDRA rules are constantly changing. This is not the case. The vast majority of DBDRA rules have not changed for at least 5 years. Some of DBDR rules have not changed for decades. In fact, there were no changes between 2020 and 2023 other than a few clarification on enforcement to eliminate subjectivity, improve officiating consistency. I should also note that only 2 people contacted me regarding proposed clarifications for 2023. The reality check. The top priority for the DBDRA officiating team is to provide a fun, fair experience for contestants. Unfortunately, some individuals choose to attack the organization and its judges when they get caught breaking the rules. Imagine a motorist blaming the police getting pulled over for speeding. Our judges work hard to ensure fairness in the lanes. It is also clear that some individuals work hard to circumvent our rules at every opportunity. This behavior will no longer be tolerated. Participation. The DBDRA is a massive global organization with participation taking place on a worldwide stage. Please see the unique participation by country pie chart. I'm not going to go over that part. It is easy for contestants in a given country to forget about the counterparts in other countries. It is also sometimes easy to believe that participants at the finals represent the entire DBDRA participation. The reality is that only a tiny fraction of participants at World Finals each year. Although these individuals are part of an elite group of competitors, they do not represent the entirety of the participation in DBDRA. And just a quick note, the chart shows that 2.3% of the unique competitors actually participated at World Finals. And then on another note, too, on the participation, just because you see things in your area, the country of the United States is very large, and Jeffrey's area is not the same as my area. Neither one of our areas are the same as Wyatt's area. None of us are the same as Jeremy's area. So the different areas have different types of vehicles that compete for different reasons in each unique area. So just keep that in mind. Silent majority. Recently, this group deteriorated into a cesspool of infantile remarks by a handful of bad actors. As I read through these misleading posts, it became clear that there is a difference between winning and being a winner. I have instructed our group moderators to remove these individuals for violating DBDRA personal conduct policy. I encourage free speech and constructive criticism, but personal attacks against other competitors, judges, DBDRA have no place on here. Bottom line, we all do this for fun. I have invested a significant portion of my life in an attempt to provide a sandbox for car audio enthusiasts to play. And in my experience, I have discovered that most of you share this vision. There will always be naysayers and haters, but we must look beyond those toxic individuals and focus on the bigger picture. Good luck this season, and most importantly, have fun. Wayne Harris. So, I just wanted to read that real quick. So, if you guys haven't seen that, you need to go and check that out. The comments on it, I believe, there's a lot of constructive comments. Leonard, what do you think of that, being an outside person seeing or hearing that or seeing that for the first time?
I think he's on point on what he's stating, and it doesn't take much to disrupt and cause chaos nowadays. I mean, yeah. But yeah, I've seen the sport progress to some of these. I mean, there's not a lot of rule changes, like you said, but there's some safety concerns that have come up because we're at the point now. People are blowing inside glass out consistently,
yep. Yeah.
or they're who would ever thought we get to where you're shredding your car, the door mounts, wow. You're blowing out windows and shredding the car. I'd be kind of like upset to have to change speakers, but then you have to have a glass guy over here following you around.
Yeah,
so it is. Yep. People are always gonna push the rules.
Yeah,
I did it. I'll do it. Everybody will push the gray area, whatever it is. You're just trying to push until you're corrected.
Yeah.
Get in your lane.
Jeffrey,
once you're in the lane, that's it.
Your thoughts on it, Jeffrey?
Well, I mean, I think if we all look at it in a positive way, I've always been an advocate of, doing what you love, doing what you like to do. Mm-hmm. If this is something that's, causing you distress or causing you to, react in a negative way, then, maybe it's something for you to step away from and, let others who put their time and effort enjoy this and, that are, willing to adapt to, certain things that may or, may not happen. And I think if you bring the positivity into this and you're just, you want everybody to be happy, make yourself happy, continue doing it. If it doesn't, then sadly, regretfully, maybe it'd be better if you'd step away. But I just think if everyone comes at this with a positive attitude, like we try to focus and get, into this way of things, then, it's going to make it a lot better. And
I agree with that.
What I think.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Hey, Jeffrey, hit Leonard with the final question because he's got to get somewhere here shortly. So why don't you hit him with it?
All right. Mr. Leonard, Quadwood, right? What other AKAs you have? This is a question that we ask all of our guests. Basically, we want to know what is your definition of a bass head.
Yeah, there's two kinds: a respectful basshead and a
Oh,
disrespectful basshead. Okay. The disrespectful basshead is the guy that pulls up to a 7-Eleven bumping, Lord know how much wattage in his box Chevy, shaking up everything. Doesn't turn the music down when he gets out of the car, goes inside to buy a pack of zigzags or something. Like, gives us our bad reputations. Like, oh, this music, oh my God. And a respectful basshead is a guy or girl that has an amplifier retail value is worth more than their whole car. Like, I bet a single amplifier, and they have multiples.
Yeah.
They have the batteries, they have the alternators, they have, I mean, dedication in there, the
I
dedication.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Which one are you?
I'm not that guy that's run by the zigzags. No.
You're not the guy with the zigzags. Okay,
No,
gotcha.
no. I'm turning more into an SQ guy.
Ah, okay.
That's
I'd actually like to see SQ motorization, this lighting. I'd like to actually see some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um all right. So anyway, guys, Leonard has to go. I got to get over to my bowling bank, make some money. Even with my messed up finger, still gonna make money tonight. Anyway, thank you, Leonard, for coming on. It was a good
It's been
time.
awesome.
Hopefully you enjoyed yourself. We're
Yeah.
gonna see. I think next week we have Dawn. I have to check my schedule and see if DB Dawn's gonna be on next week, so he can talk over all our heads again.
Oh, no.
And whatnot. Jeff, I'm trying to still put my show together for Saturday night in Sacramento. So if anybody has anything that can help me out with, let me know. Jeffrey, anything else for you?
You guys got bowling and other stuff. I think I got a prime rib with my name on it, just in the kitchen here. So I'll let you guys get to that. I'll get to my stuff, and
Okay.
uh,
Leonard, if somebody wants to get a hold of you about some of your stuff or whatever, how do they get a hold of you?
Just about Facebook or look for. I own a vintage name in the car audio business that I'm going to be relaunching. Like I said, that I'm going to probably debut Quadwood in
oh,
that
cool.
product.
Okay.
And then Jeffrey in Texas, hey, look for me to pop up. At a drag or something.
Yeah,
And I'm
real quickly, guys. So we go to Roger and I. We went to Texas Heat Wave, and they had a couple of side things that they were doing. One of them was a BMX demo, and those of you that don't know, Leonard is really big into BMX. We saw him on his bike. Next thing we know, we turn around and then Leonard was was in the demo doing his tricks and stuff
Was he
like
doing
that. So
backflips?
I think he was, doing like freestyle BMX and stuff like that. I'm sure he's got pictures all on his Facebook. But yeah, so just a little story about me running into Leonard in Texas.
yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Thanks to our guests, Leonard Foster Jr., Quadwood. Thanks back to my co-host being back here again today, Jeffrey. Thank you, guys. Remember, next week we're going to be on again, 5:30 p.m. California time, the only time that matters. We'll be back again. I'm not sure who our guest is, but I think we're about close to getting DB Don on here again. But you guys, we'll see you next week on This Week in Car Audio. Peace. We out.